Hey, it's The Rock Show, and we're hanging here with Megadeth. Welcome back yet again. I feel like we've talked to each other like, you know, a dozen times already since even before the record came out.
At least.
So it's good to actually, you know, just update, see what's happening. How's it been going? I asked you something 6 months ago, and now I could actually see, you know, see. So it's your first time in New York since the attack on the World Trade Center, so you might as well get that out of the way. And I mean, how is it for you guys? How's it been for you guys?
Well, I think we were actually in Seattle, Washington when it all happened, and I think for us, being on the tour bus, the satellite dish, CNN every day, it's pretty much been a TV war for us, you know. And Al actually lives here in Manhattan, so he flew home, and when he came back, just the horrified look on his face, I think, certainly changed all of our perspective on it. And now being here, we were just down in Washington, D.C. a couple of nights ago, and now being here in the city, it brings it all back home.
And so you actually flew home. How did you get home?
Took a couple days, but my wife had called me that morning, and she said, put on the TV, something happened, and I watched the whole thing with her, and I couldn't believe what I was saying, but her being here and having to deal with it on a daily basis and us being on the road was almost the equivalent of the Oklahoma City bombing,
right,
where you read about it, but it's not that tangible. And when I flew into Newark and I flew over what used to be where the Twin Towers stood, you know, I'll never forget that sight.
Does it feel, I mean, I don't know if you guys probably just got into town last night or this morning, but I mean, is there any sense of a difference for you? I mean, you spent a lot of time in New York. I mean,
well, I am not actually familiar where the towers were, but I you know, like David said, watching it from a distance and then getting closer and closer, you can feel there's something really terrible happened. Excuse me. And you know, it's as we get closer to it, the reality sinks in, because you know, if you're watching it on TV, it just seems like, you know, like that big. But then when you get here and you start seeing, you know, everyone's being stopped everywhere and checked for everything, and all these different hoaxes now that are going around with it, and threats from all these different people on all U.S. mails. You know, we're having to rethink everything we do now based on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and then like it seems weird because I know people, like, they don't want things to be all serious all the time, and you know, we do what we do. We play in bands, we're on a TV show, and we talk about it. Sometimes it's hard though, you know. It's like it makes everything seem so kind of unimportant and small. Yeah, sometimes, you know, we could sit here and talk about, hey, we're on tour and we're doing this and doing that, but the bottom line is still you guys are out there playing, and you're out there kicking ass, and people are coming to see you, and because you're doing what you do.
Right.
And I think that is the most important thing right now. You know, for people to go out and live their lives as best as they can anyway.
Well, one thing is that when we're playing, a lot of people come up to me in particular saying, you know, is your family okay? I mean, these strangers at shows, and then saying, you know, I know it hit New York, but we're all Americans, we're all together, and seeing that if you can get any kind of positive from this disaster, it's brought Americans closer together. You know, and I mean, you walk around the streets here, you know, there's not nearly as many taxi horns going off, people holding doors for you, saying, excuse me, you know, like people kind of looking around, but I think manners and pleasantries have come back.
Yeah, it's really weird that out of this chaos that everything it's brought the country together, and it's made people more considerate of other Americans. I flew from St. Louis home, and I was in a van, and there are two old people, real short hair, another couple, there's like a military couple, short hair, and I'm sitting in there, long hair, and then there's a black man driving the van, and I was thinking, 3 weeks ago, you guys would have been looking at me and the driver like we were trouble, you know, and now it's like we're all the same,
right?
You know. And something, you know, even though it was really tragic what happened, something great's come out of it.
Well, hopefully. And we're going to be back with Megadeth to talk more about the tour and all that. First, we're going to go to Ozzy Osbourne off his first album in 6 years, Down to Earth. Here's Gets Me Through. So with everything that's been going on the last few weeks, how do you think that's going to affect the music world? I mean, or specifically you guys, as far as your writing or your attitudes, you know, towards things, or, you know, song titles, lyrics, anything like that, you know?
It's really weird that you say that. When we came back from Indonesia, we went through LAX, and I grabbed a magazine from some girl that was selling something from a guy named Lyndon LaRouche, and I'd never known who he was. And the magazine is dated August 3rd, 2001. And one of the captions in there, it said, Washington is next. And it said that in September, Washington was going to be hit by terrorists. Now, this is a magazine that was dated August 3rd.
Right.
And I thought, God, what a great song title. So I started writing a song called Washington is Next, and as soon as this happened, that went right into the can. And, you know, the good thing about our music is it's a place and a way when people come to see us live to get out some aggression. Because a lot of people are hurt, they're confused, they're angry, and being able to go into a safe environment, even though, you know, people were being told not to go out into public places,
right.
You know, come in there and being able to do, you know, their deal and mosh and get it out and be safe, it's a good thing.
How the crowds, I mean, I've seen, you know, on websites like whatever, Ticketmaster, I mean, you guys are doing great business. So, I mean, obviously the fans are stoked that you're there.
Yeah. I think it's probably some of the funnest time that we've ever had since we started because, you know, we're a pro-American band. We've always sung about, you know, politics and military and stuff, and right now the music is really relevant. The song that probably gets the best response is Holy Wars because, you know, it describes exactly the current situation that we're in, and I wrote that song back in 1990.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying I'm Jeremiah, I'm some kind of prophet or something. It just was, you know, keeping my head up and looking at, you know, the surrounding events that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Plus, I come out with Old Glory. My guitar's been painted into an American flag, and that was by the suggestion of our manager, Steve Wood. And when I bring that out, it's like people go crazy over it.
Right.
You know, instead of saying Megadeth, they're saying USA. It's like
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
you got the chance.
Yeah, the chance.
So it's really cool because, you know, there's this kind of solidarity and an equilibrium for a bunch of people that, you know, don't, you know, they're lost right now. Not lost in a bad way, but they're frustrated. And they come, they see us, and we're doing our gig, and we're setting a good example on how to deal with things. You know, because I try not to preach from the stage, but, you know, I tell people that this hate crime crap that's going on, you know, targeting people who look Middle Eastern, you know, it's not cool. They killed a man in our state, Scott, just because he looked like a Middle Eastern. He was an Indian, he was a Sikh, and one of our crew guys goes there every morning to get his gas. He comes there, and the thing's all taped off with crime scene tape, and the guy's dead. Some moron just went and shot him. You know, so we've been trying to encourage our fans, don't take the law into your own hands.
Right.
We know who it is. If you really want to help, go enlist. If you want to go kill somebody, make sure you do it under the right pretenses.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad to see, you know, in our little corner of the world that it hasn't affected, you know, what you guys are doing out there touring. And there's all kinds of tours. Some tours have been postponed, some tours canceled. Big tours coming up, and there's this Family Values thing coming out, and the reason I mentioned that, it's got a lot of killer bands, STP, it's got Linkin Park, it's got Static X, and this band Stained with Fade. It's The Rock Show, and we're back here hanging out with Megadeth, and you guys are in the middle of a tour supporting your album, The World Needs a Hero, out there headlining, and does that title now, I mean, has it taken on a new meaning for you guys?
Well, we've actually had the title for a few years, and when it came time to name the album, it seemed a pretty appropriate title. But, you know, keep in mind that was back in 2000. And in light of recent events that have happened, I think the definition of hero has changed. You know, I think we tend to look at a sports figure, we look to Hollywood, we look to politics for someone to be the big reigning hero. And in my opinion, you know, some of the biggest heroes that we have right now are people like the fireman who just went to work as he did every day. You know, people that are out giving blood right now. Those are the real heroes of the world because they're the ones that are actually changing what's happening.
You got Endo out opening up for you. How's that been? I mean, you like those guys, or how's it? You know?
As people, they're really, really cool. They're good guys. Their music is exciting. Some of our fans haven't received them very well, as you probably have had the same situation with your loyal following. They don't want to listen to somebody in front of you. But they're young. They're interesting. They've got a great drummer, and they've got a lot of energy. And we're planning on switching to Iced Earth for the remainder of the dates of this tour, which is something that, you know, a lot of people have been requesting us go out with these guys for a long time. I don't even know what they sound like.
Yeah, same with us. We're supposed to do the pre-dates with them, and that's not till January and February now. So, yeah, us too. I mean, you should tour with Iced Earth. They're like, huh, who?
Yeah. So that's basically where we're at with that whole thing.
Cool. Oh, there's a new band called Nickelback. Have you guys heard about these guys? I know we were just talking about it.
Just a moment ago.
We were just talking about them. Well, this is the song that blew them up, which we've all been missing apparently somehow. And here's Nickelback with How You Remind Me. Hey, it's The Rock Show, and we're back with Megadeth. And so you guys are planning on doing a live album and a DVD in your home state of Arizona.
Correct. It was supposed to be Buenos Aires, but because of the threats on all American males, us leaving the country, a lot of people in our camp are not really feeling safe doing that. And it's just, you know, we've wanted to do it in Buenos Aires for so many years, and it's just, it ain't in the cards.
Right.
I mean, you know, we had everything lined up for the last time, and Ozzy canceled. And now we had everything lined up again, and we go to war.
Right.
So, I mean, the writing's on the wall. It ain't going to happen down there.
Don't go to Argentina.
You know, I mean, it's a great place to play.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But, you know, we're just going to do it at home.
Cool. And what's the plan after that? Like, you guys still have more, you know, more things in the cards as far as touring goes off this album?
No.
I think we're going to take the rest of the year off after this, and I think we'll go into studio January and start. You know, we've already written some new songs for the new record, and you know, and we're going to take some time off and just go into studio. I think at that point, and then you know, release. Who knows? We can't at this point.
Well, we've got a couple of things. We're going to remix and re-release and repackage, actually, the Killing Is My Business record, which is our first album.
Is that going to be through Sanctuary?
It's actually on Loud Records, yeah.
Cool.
And then the DVD and the CD set of the live album we're looking for probably spring of next year, and then the new studio record sometime later in the year. So we got a bunch of stuff lined up. So I think you know, this tour, I mean, took us all around the world. We did all the international stuff first, and that was very extensive. And then doing what we're doing with this headlining tour here in America. Conscious decision to play some smaller places, and we've really invited everybody over to Megadeth.com to choose the songs for the set list.
Right, I was going to talk about
Yeah, which
that.
is really, it's been cool. I mean, it really feels like it's the band and the audience, you know, and we're all part of the same movement again. I
Did
mean,
they stump you anywhere? Were there times where you're like,
They stumped me.
Yeah, Al was telling me I should be playing Kumbaya before the shows and to warm up, and that stumped me.
But it's pretty neat because the set every night's different.
how much in advance from a show do you know, like, you know, what
2
set
days.
you're playing? 2 days in
2
advance?
days. Yeah. Well, we cut off the voting 2 days, and then the set list gets sent out to us, and we have it the day of the show.
Right.
And there's been a couple times where we've just plain had to strike songs out of there because in the very beginning of when this national tragedy happened, everyone was saying anarchy, anarchy, anarchy. And first off, I really don't like that song. We only recorded it because, you know, I wanted to do Problems.
Right.
And our management said, oh, you need to do Anarchy, so we did it. And, you know, it's like Robert Plant playing song, what is it, Stairway to Heaven. He just, you know, I guess hates playing it. And me saying to the fans, we need anarchy right now, we don't need anarchy right now. We need to come together. So that's one of the only situations where when they pick the songs where, you know, there's a possibility that it won't happen.
So did you guys do like Skull Beneath the Skin?
That's not on the list for them to pick from. There's like 36.
Well, thank you for mentioning
Yeah,
that.
great.
There's a bunch of songs for them to pick. And
See, I should have written it anyway, you know.
See, but
writing
here's the thing, Scott, and you know this too. You record songs, and some of them are killer on the album. They sound great, you know, and people, they love them, and they become fans of them. And a lot of those songs, we've tried to play them live,
Right.
and it's a whole different thing. Now, for instance, Motorcycle, people have been coming up to us saying that sounds better live than it does on the record, you know, so sometimes it goes one of two
Sure.
ways, and we've run them down. I mean, obviously, Dave and I have played every song at some point, and certain songs live, just for whatever reason, they just don't translate. Maybe the room's too big. If it's a speed metal song, you just it's a mush, you know. So we've really tried to be conscientious of picking the songs that sound great live and make those the ones that everybody can choose from.
Cool. Well, you mentioned Motorcycle, and here it is off The World Needs a Hero, Motorcycle.
Responsibility, an anchor around my neck. Dependability, make me a nervous wreck. Accountability, I live from check to check. Volatility, neglect and no respect. Got my wheels in motion and I stop at the beat. I hit the road, I don't know to look for touch the street.
thank you guys, so much for stopping by. Once again, taking time out of your busy day to, come hang out with me and the Rock Show. Thank you. And have fun on the rest of the tour as well. And for those of you who missed it before, here's the DVD. It's the extended version. In Dave's words, this is the Jerry Springer version of the of the Megadeth Behind the Music. So you got to check this out. Right?
And you're in it, by the way.
I'm in it. I don't even know what I'm saying, and I guess it's okay because you guys didn't come in pissed off at me. So
No, it was great.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you once again for stopping by. And next week, that's all we got for you this week. Next week is the huge Halloween extravaganza, where I might not look the way I look right now. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so you got to tune in next week. Drinks for all my friends. And double shots for all the firefighters and policemen and Red Cross and rescue workers here in New York City. Okay. Until next week, see ya.